very unique and very troubling, and go easy.
You know what? Of all the, and look, like everybody else, we all stayed up watching everything the whole night long. I think the single most surprising thing that I heard last night is that we still, as we sit here, have not broken off relations with Iraq. We have no intention of asking for a declaration of war. We are technically at war, and yet we still have diplomatic relations. It's unusual. We're going to come back in just a moment, right after this.
From NBC News, this is a special edition of Today, America at War. Now once again, here are Bryant Gumbel and Deborah Norville.
And good morning. Welcome back to Today at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Studio 3B, along with Deborah Norville. I'm Bryant Gumbel. This is Thursday, January the 17th. One day after history was made. As the world knows by now, the president initiated Operation Desert Storm last night, ordering U.S. bombers to strike into the heart of Iraq at Baghdad, at the capital city, and also against strategic installations in Kuwait. Those bombers continued on through the night, starting under cover of darkness and continuing on, some even to this very moment. And from all indications, the Iraqi response, the Iraqi resistance was light, although we do not have numbers of planes and casualties. The U.S. suffered very, very light losses. The early going very much the way of the coalition. We understand that Katie Couric is standing by at the Pentagon right now. She might be able to update what I just said about numbers. Katie, got any?
Well, they're very encouraging, but there is some bad news. Pentagon spokesman Pete Williams has just confirmed that an F-A-18 fighter bomber from an aircraft carrier was down somewhere over Iraq. The pilot was lost. He lost his life. This is the first official Pentagon report we're getting about a downed U.S. plane. He wouldn't say if it was specifically from the Saratoga, but as I told you earlier, Bryant, initial intelligence reports here at the Pentagon, just voice reports, which are very preliminary, indicated that, in fact, an F-A-18 was missing off the USS Saratoga, which is currently in the Red Sea, along with two other aircraft carriers. So again, an F-A-18 has been lost somewhere over Iraq, according to Pentagon officials.
Katie, when's the Pentagon planning a briefing to actually bring us up to date on the numbers involved?
At 9 o'clock, in just about an hour, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Secretary of Defense Dick Cheney and Colin Powell, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, will have a briefing. They will be able, hopefully, to tell us then more about any other U.S. losses or Allied losses, in addition to how well they fared in the initial stages of this massive airstrike.
All right. Katie Couric at the Pentagon, thanks very much. We'll be going to the Pentagon for that briefing live in just about an hour from now. We've been talking this morning to Mike Betcher, who's reporting from Saudi Arabia. Well, last night, Mike spent a few moments with some of the pilots as they were ready to start their most important mission.
A chilly, moonless night provided the cover for the most powerful air armada ever assembled. The ground crews, who had pampered their jets for almost 6 months during their desert assignment, conducted one last check. The first wave of the attack on Baghdad was ready to fly. Lieutenant Colonel George Walton would be leading 12 F-4 Wild Weasel Air Force jets on a mission to Baghdad.
So I think everybody is threatened by a tyrant, that a single man that's causing a whole lot of problems for the entire world. Whether the world is aware of that or not, that's exactly what the case is, and it's unfortunate that he's dragging a lot of other people down with him.
His squadron's objective, to destroy Iraqi surface-to-air missile batteries. The ground crew gave a final salute. The war had begun. After the attack was launched, Iraqi missiles were believed to have been fired at the base. The dreaded alert was sounded. A chemical attack could be imminent.
Attention, attention. This is not an exercise. Get along. scud alarm, scud alarm. Now on mask and gloves and take cover.
At dawn, Lieutenant Colonel Walton's squadron returned to base. 12 planes had left. 12 planes returned.
Well, the biggest thing I saw was one of the most fantastic fireworks demonstrations I've seen since 4th of July party years and years and years ago. This was tremendous. Baghdad was lit up like a Christmas tree. Looked like everything in downtown was, fireworks were going off, a lot of AAA, impacts on the ground. I think we hit there just about the time we're 40 miles south is when they're pounding targets in Baghdad.
He was in a hurry to buy his men breakfast, then fly again. There were more missions to fly. Their first attack had not ended the war. Rather, it had marked the beginning. Mike Betcher, NBC News, Saudi Arabia.
Even as we celebrate the safe return of those pilots, we again note the Pentagon has confirmed the loss of one plane, and Great Britain has also confirmed the loss of one of their Tornadoes. At 8:05, let's go on out to Jim Miklashevsky, our White House correspondent, who's standing out in front of the White House. Anything new on your front, Jim?
Well, Brian, just a moment ago, White House spokesman Marlin Fitzwater also confirmed there are what he called U.S. casualties. Now, he could not give us numbers or could not say whether these casualties were dead or wounded. But he said in talking with the president this morning that the president had agonized, before making this decision, had agonized over the possible loss of life, and this morning was gratified that the casualties were minimal, that everything was done in terms of planning this attack to minimize the casualties, is what Marlin Fitzwater said. But again, we don't know whether those are dead or wounded at this point. This morning, Secretary of State Baker arrived at the White House. He met very briefly with President Bush in the Oval Office. Then he sat down for working breakfast with National Security Advisor Brent Scowcroft. Later in the day, Secretary Cheney and Secretary of State Baker will get together with the president as he continues to receive updates on the ongoing war there in the Persian Gulf. Later this morning at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, President Bush will be going to Fort Myer for a church service that's to be presided over there by the Reverend Billy Graham. So far, while the initial mood here was pretty upbeat, there seems to be a sense of caution setting in here now. While the initial reports about how the war has gone were positive, the officials here now stress that we've got a long way to go, that this is just the first wave, and so far there has been no indication from Saddam Hussein that he intends to move those troops out, and people know here that they could be in for a slightly longer haul than they perhaps thought.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. And as we head for commercial, I think perhaps it's time we should show, before we do, I understand. Well, let's show these numbers, first of all. These are the numbers where you can call to find out about the status of your loved ones. And please, if you don't have anyone involved, please don't tie up the numbers. For the Navy, the number is 1-800-255-3808. Let's change it. For the Air Force, 1-800-253-9276. For the Army, it's 1-703-614-0739. And for the Marines, it is 1-800-523-2694. And please, for family members only, I'm sure you can appreciate their sensitivity in this matter. Tom Aspel is standing by on the open line from Baghdad this morning. Tom, you've got light of day there. What's going on?
Well, Brian, it's getting on to sunset here now, and it's quiet all over the city. But about 2 minutes ago, we just had a long air raid sign that echoed all over Baghdad. Difficult to see whether anybody paid attention to it because most people are off the streets anyway. But the thinking is here that tonight will probably be a little difficult for the Iraqis. That opening air raid last night proved that the U.S. and the Allied aircraft can enter Baghdad's airspace with ease. Nobody knew where they were or where they came from last night. And now that they have a good idea where most of the air defense systems are located, it's almost certain that tonight they will be back.
So you're expecting it to be worse, Tom?
It's difficult to say, Brian. My own personal feeling is that last night was they hit some very selective targets here in Baghdad. Turns out about 4 real targets, and they seem to have destroyed them, or at least put them out of commission. I got the impression that from the noise and just sort of the way the anti-aircraft fire was searching them out, that it was more of a probing mission more than anything else. I mean, we had been expecting sort of an air raid of massive proportions, but it turned out to be quite a small one, really. 4 targets hit, didn't last very long. They came back 2 or 3 times. But my thinking is they're probably just probing around there just to make sure where the air defense systems the Iraqis have are located around the city, and that when they do come back, they'll probably have a fair idea of a little more damage this time, perhaps.
All right. Tom Aspel, you gave us some anxious moments last night. Stay low, my friend. We'll check in later. 8:10. We're going to come back in just a moment. There's more ahead. Right after this.
Philly Light. Low cholesterol, less fat. And it isn't just light, it's Philly Light.
Yeah. Let's eat.
Now that's how to eat light.
A cup of that coffee, please.
You know, it's going to be a nice day for the parade.
You know, even the coffee tasted somehow better back then. I guess that's why those Maxwell House folks slow roast their 1892 coffee. Didn't even change the way they used to make it. Introducing Maxwell House 1892 coffee, made with old-fashioned pride, the way things used to be.
Come on, you guys, we're going to be late.
So what? We're just going to lose again anyway.
The Mazda MPV 4-wheel drive can help you get just about anywhere you want to go.
Let's go home.
Its V6 engine and rear anti-lock brakes let you handle even the worst weather with confidence.
Face it, Mom, we stink.
Hey, where's that team spirit, huh?
Hey, Gail. The other team couldn't make it. You guys win by forfeit.
The Mazda MPV 4-wheel drive.
It just feels right. If the weather stays bad, we could take the title.
Hey, the baking soda experts at Arm & Hammer have done it again. Now they've invented new Arm & Hammer Dental Care Gel, a refreshing gel with a terrific cool mint taste. You're going to love it. And Arm & Hammer Dental Care Gel is the only gel with baking soda, which many dentists recommend. Now you can try the baking soda gel for free. Look for this coupon in this Sunday's paper and get a free trial size of Arm & Hammer Dental Care Gel. Dentists recommend baking soda. I recommend the taste.
As we've been reporting, Iraq's armed forces have responded poorly to U.S. attacks. So far, in the early hours of Operation Desert Storm, they haven't mounted much of a defense, a fact that may speak volumes about Iraq's true military potential. To elaborate on the remaining strengths and weaknesses of their armed forces, let me introduce in Washington Michael Eisenstadt. He's research fellow with the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Mr. Eisenstadt, I'll get to the other two gentlemen in just a moment. Let me start with you, if I might. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did we grossly overestimate Iraq's potential?
I believe that might be so. It might be a combination of factors, both overestimating their potential as well as underestimating our own capabilities, which have become evident overnight.
How do you explain the poor performance?
Basically, I think the primary factor explaining the poor response of the Iraqi Air Force at this point was that they've suffered a complete breakdown in their command and control capabilities. Probably due to a combination of jamming as well as airstrikes on communications facilities. As a result, they lost their ability to respond to the airstrikes by the U.S. In addition, as a result of that, they probably decided not to respond. The Iraqi Air Force is considered to have only a modest, if not existent, night combat capability. As a result, they probably decided to husband the resources and keep the aircraft in the shelters until they could reconstitute. And I think we're going to be seeing in the next few days, once they put put together their capabilities once again, reestablish command and control, more of what we saw today, that is small-scale attacks by the Air Force, an attempt to mount at least some kind of response.
All right, let me move on down. Let me move on down the line, because whatever the Iraqis have, U.S. forces are prepared to deal with it. Retired Rear Admiral Ken Moranville can attest to that. He was formerly admiral in charge of the Mediterranean Fleet and is an expert in naval aviation. Good morning, Admiral.
Good morning, Brian.
Hey, what are the strongest threats still that our people are going to have to deal with?
The strongest threats that I could talk about would be air defenses. They still have artillery, AAA, anti-aircraft guns, large and small. They obviously will still have some missiles. We've disrupted their command and control. That'll give them a big problem. But when you go down to get pinpoint targets, as you may have missed before, and you get down in the low altitude range to attack those targets, then the AAA will be a problem for our pilots.
They have them, but have they demonstrated they can use them effectively?
Not effectively, and that will get worse. I think our strikes probably took out their radars. The Wild Weasels, anti-radiation missiles probably took out their radar control for the missiles early on. If they can reconstitute, bring those missiles radars back up, they will remain a problem.
I had heard that they had only a handful, relative handful, of planes and pilots that could operate effectively at night. Why then not keep the attacks to the night? Why bring it to the day where you lose part of that advantage?
I think we will overwhelm their Air Force, day or night. Back when the Iraqis were fighting the Iranians, we were told, at least, that when the F-14 was in the air, the Iraqis would not oppose it. Now, we have not only F-14s, but we've got F-15s, F-16s, F-18s out there, far superior to their aircraft. And I will guarantee you our pilots are far superior to the Iraqi pilots.
Well, you talked about when they were fighting the Iranians. Let me bring in a man who's had personal experience on that score, fighting the Iraqis. He is Admiral Kamal Habib Olahi, the former commander of the Iranian Navy during part of that nation's war with Iraq. And good morning to you, Admiral.
Good morning.
How do you assess the level of Iraqi defense?
Well, the level of Iraqi defense at this time is mostly neutralized regarding their air power, and in regard to their forces that they have in Kuwait, I would say that any force is as good as their logistic line. If their logistic line is cut and they are pounded from the air, they will surrender within days. We will witness in the next few days desertions, mutinies, and many problems that they will face.
Are you saying the Iraqis lack courage?
I don't say that an individual soldier lacks courage, but in a dictatorial system that Saddam Hussein has, everything is dictated from the top to the bottom, and they lack the ideology, they lack the incentive to fight. They don't believe deep in their heart to fight in this war. Iraqi soldiers never were behaved the way that they should in the past. And we have seen them lazy, we have seen them, for example, in battle for Khorramshahr. When Iranian army entered Khorramshahr, they surrounded by 50,000. There were hundreds and thousands of boots along the river bank that they had taken out and fled
and just
into
left
the
behind.
river. Yes.
Real quickly, that's the average Iraqi soldier. What about Saddam Hussein? Do you see him surrendering under any circumstances?
Well, it is very difficult to predict him. It is not predictable. It's a special person that is not predictable. But when he sees his war machine broken down, I'm sure that he will surrender.
Gentlemen, thank you all very much. It's 8:19 on this Thursday morning. We're going to come back in just a moment. Still more ahead right after this.
To be drowned in your dear little ear.
they just might not learn them at all.
You know those kids in your class who think that shooting spitballs is more important than listening to your teacher? They're uncool. The thing is, teachers know their stuff, and not just school stuff. They know that kids won't be able to get good jobs if the only thing they learn about is how to start food fights. So listen to your teachers, not the wise guys. The more you learn in school, the better off you'll be when you get out.
Yeah, well, I just got this new video game. It's called Zap 9. It's got 2 Zap blasters. So, I'm getting my own phone next week. Wow. What are you getting? Excuse me, guys. I gotta run.
After all the toys and games are gone, good fitness habits can last a lifetime. A healthier, happier lifetime. All it takes is a regular exercise program for yourself and those you love. Start now. Make fitness a family affair.
Crack is maybe the most dangerous thing you can do to your heart. When you do crack, what happens is these toxic chemicals rush through your lungs and then right into your bloodstream. The reaction is like so violent. Your heart just might not be able to take it.
There is probably no easy way to tell people their loved ones are about to go into the heat of battle. But if there is, the relatives of those who are stationed in Saudi Arabia living in Norfolk, Virginia, got it. They're part of a couple of Operation Desert Shield, or maybe now we should say Operation Desert Storm support groups at the base there. And they found out about the war from a couple of their fellow members. Dr. Kenneth Hemphill, who is pastor at the First Baptist Church there in Norfolk, and Braun Forrester, a support group leader and retired Navy chaplain. Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
Tell me, how did you break the news to the folks at the support group?
I broke the news to them on the basis that the fighting had broken out and what they had expected and anticipated was now taking place.
Did most of them know about it already?
They did not know about it. We were having the support group at the time that the news broke, and so I told them just at the end of our support group session.
And how did they take the news?
They were shocked, and at the same time, there was a feeling that we had expected this, and that if it had to happen, we're glad that it's going now.
Dr. Hemphill, you were at a church meeting, I think a choir group or something, at the time that you got the news. Did you get special information from the Navy folks there?
Well, some of the folks in the support group came down and told us we were going into a large musical event. We had about 1,000 people in attendance that evening. Many of our folks sing in the choir and in the orchestra whose family members are in Desert Shield. And so I shared just before the worship service began, and then afterwards we had a special time of prayer and encouragement and support and opened the prayer room there.
What do you do now that the battle has begun? The first casualty reports have been minimal, but they are coming in. How do you keep the flock together and calm?
Well, the first thing we started doing last night, even as we heard, we started calling the families that we knew had family members in the Gulf, and we started offering support. Braun and his support group are going to be still involved. We'll have prayer vigils, times that the chapel is open for prayer. But there is a sense of, as he was saying, of relief, as well as, even though there's concern for family members, I don't think the words fear or anxiety are appropriate for our people. There's that sense of a peace that really passes understanding for our families.
Well, let's ask a couple of women who need that kind of peace right now. Let's go down to Fort Stewart, Georgia, and talk with some women that we've been meeting all week who've been with us. They are Barbara Lehman, Pat Cooper-Thomas, and Jeannie Relaford. Ladies, good morning. The pastor was just now talking about the peace that comes with knowing that you've got some folks to lean on. Was it a very peaceful night for any of the three of you?
It was a long night. My friends and I were together watching the news, and my phone rang until well after midnight with support from friends and family members, and that was real important for me.
How do you stay calm in a situation like this, now that what you hoped wouldn't happen has? Pat?
Well, through prayer, family support, the chain of concern, we still do have wonderful people here at Fort Stewart who care. That's where I get my strength from.
Jeannie, you've got 4 little ones there at home with you. How do you reassure the kids when I suspect you're probably not terribly reassured yourself?
It's very difficult. I had a son who it's tough for him. He just broke down last night after he heard the news coming back from basketball game. It was very tough, and it's tough for all of us.
Yeah.
I'm just trying my best with my children.
Any of you want to confess to having a teary eye last night?
Yes,
yes
I have. With my children, yes.
Well,
when you see 3 little ones sit there and have to watch the news, when they start to break down, yes, it's
Thank
hard.
you. We'll be back in just a second.
Toyota's never been hotter. With 10 models priced under $10,000. We're talking Tercels and Corollas. Toyota Tercel, the lowest priced 2-door sedan in America. Or check out Corolla, Toyota's trouble-free subcompact, now with option savings. Toyota's hot, hot, hot. Toyota, more for your money. It's hot, hot, hot.
Toyota. Sofa Connection is your connection for free furniture. Sure, just when you thought you'd got the greatest deal on one of our $4.99 sofas, we throw in the love seat absolutely free. 3 styles to choose from: Queen Anne, scatterback cotton print, or contemporary, in stock and ready for delivery. An exceptional deal at $4.99. Add the free love seat. It's an unheard of value. But hurry, it won't last long. Sofa, free love seat. Make the connection. Sofa Connection, Rivergate and Hickory Hollow.
From Channel 4, this is a Gulf War News Extra.
Good morning, I'm Jim Travis. In a briefing concluded just a short time ago, Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Mike Scott, speaking at Central Command Headquarters in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, says that more than 750 sorties have been flown by forces of the U.S. Navy, Marines, the United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, France, and Kuwait. Nearly a dozen different aircraft were used, ranging from B-52s to AH-64 Apache attack helicopters.
These aircraft delivered both guided and unguided munitions. Also, Navy ships launched conventional Tomahawk cruise missiles during the entire operation. Although we can't discuss specifics on either targeting or mission results, our first indications are very encouraging.
The use of attack helicopters would raise questions as to whether that indicates the use of some elements of the 101st Airborne from Fort Campbell, but there are no specifics to clarify that. Channel 4's Stephen Lynn joins us now from Fort Campbell. Stephen, what have you heard?
Besides the talk of the helicopters now being involved in Operation Desert Storm, there is also some idea here that maybe the 101st has been moved. Last night we were told there would be no briefings or comments about the 101st until they had begun to move. There is now a briefing scheduled for 9 a.m. However, we're not told, as I mentioned, whether that means they have moved. There are also several radio reports out of the Middle East which say that ground assaults have begun. There has been some ground movement. Well, we want to be careful not to read too much into this, but there is some indication that perhaps the 101st has begun to move. Here at the fort, things are beginning to move. A big traffic jam outside the fort. It looks like about 2 miles down that way, a little less this way, as people are trying to go to work, but they are not being waved through the gate. From here, it looks like every car is being stopped and searched by dogs before it is being allowed on post. On the post, schools are open. We are told there is a degree of normalcy. People are going to work. We have not been told whether there are any special classes or lectures or any guidance counselors at the schools to help the children deal with the war and the fact that their parents are on the battle line. Some of their parents are on the battle line. Again, the briefing is at 9 a.m. We will find out hopefully whether the 101st has been deployed in Operation Desert Storm, and we will bring that information to you as quickly as we can. Jim?
Thank you, Stephen. Italy is proposing sending forces to the Persian Gulf. The second house of Italy's parliament has approved a proposal authorizing that country's small air and naval contingent in the Persian Gulf. Premier Giulio Andreotti says if approved, the force will be put under U.S. operational command. Kuwaiti exiles are celebrating today. Thousands in Bahrain poured out of their homes into the streets after word about the war began spreading. Similar reports are coming from Kuwaiti communities in Cairo, Egypt. Horns blared and people in general screamed and shouted in jubilation. Kuwaiti government radio, broadcasting from a secret location, played patriotic songs and made bold declarations calling this the end for Iraq's occupation. That's this morning's update. Back in an hour. Good morning.
Okay, thanks, Roy. Okay, Butch. 3, 2. WKID Consumer Affairs reports today visits with Mr. and Mrs. Arnie Adams in their home on Arch Avenue, where they are changing from a gas furnace to a high-efficiency electric heat pump. Tell me, Mrs. Adams, why electric heat instead of gas?
The heat pump is cleaner, costs less to install and operate, and
Heat pumps don't put any politicians in the air.
Pollutants. No pollutants in the air, Harriet.
It smells better. That's what I meant, Arnold.
We've all heard about those benefits, Arnie, but what's the real story? NES just lowered rates. Now we're sure about our choice.
And that's the rest of the story from WKID Consumer Affairs. This is Butch Smith.
That's a wrap.
Nashville Electric Service.
Back now, 8:30 on a Thursday morning. It's January the 17th, and in Studio 3B, I'm Bryant Gumbel, along with Deborah Norville. We're going to try to bring you up to date on the progress of Operation Desert Storm. We're going to repeat some information. You may have heard it already along the way, but please appreciate the fact that some who are just getting up and joining us perhaps have not. Operation Desert Storm became a reality last night when George Bush gave the go signal at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. That's when he announced that the liberation of Kuwait, as he put it, had begun. And with that, U.S. forces combining with pilots from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Great Britain struck at the heart of Iraq, at the capital city of Baghdad, and also at some strategic targets throughout Kuwait. The bombing has continued on throughout with very light losses, actually, not nearly as bad as they had expected all along. We have so far confirmation of the loss of one British Tornado and also the loss of one American fighter plane. But we are going to be getting more from the Pentagon in just a little bit on that. Right now, let's go out to correspondent Mike Betcher, who is standing by in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. Mike, what's happening on your end?
Well, the air operations are continuing as they have all day, planes leaving every 5 minutes or so, several squadrons. You know, one thing about the pilots, no one doubts that our pilots in all four services are very, very good, but I don't think anyone would say that they are perfect. And to think that every surface-to-air missile or air-to-surface-to-surface missile in the Iraqi arsenal has been destroyed would be going too far. That is why the men out here in camouflage all over Saudi Arabia are taking these little tablets, which are called nerve agent pre-treatment tablets. No one is banking on the fact that the missile attacks are over, that everything has been destroyed. We take them, they take them, and everyone's still a little nervous as the night approaches here, if Saddam still has a few of these in his arsenal. Another problem we have, Brian, is independent verification right now. Our pool reporters from the various networks have been with the Air Force and other airmen and have been able to verify the success of the air attacks. But our pool reporters with the ground forces, the Marines and Army, are reporting now, and I'm watching the video coming in from the pool reporters, are reporting now back from the front line. We have no verification of any successes by the troops on the ground, so we're basically at the mercy of the Pentagon pool.
Mike, before I leave you, give me, if you would, some perspective on this. We note that we have confirmation of the loss of 2 aircraft. Before this operation began, what kind of numbers were they expecting out on your end?
You know, it's hard to get a figure on that. I talked to one person who said we might have 10% casualties, maybe less. Others thought it would be higher. I think the fact that we lost one plane, the British lost one plane, is remarkable. Having worked in Baghdad and seeing air defenses there, I thought it would be pretty tough attacking that city. And I find it truly remarkable, Bryant, that there are only casualties, well, only 2 casualties, 2 airplane casualties, and of course the pilot and the 2 British pilots.
All right, Mike Betcher, thanks very much. We'll be getting back to you. Right now, let's go to the Pentagon once again, where Katie Couric is standing by. Katie, got anything?
Well, actually, Bryant, there's some interesting observations going on. I've just talked to a few Pentagon officials who say that we really should be cautiously optimistic and very measured in our response. They say it's easy to be euphoric because the air assault has gone so well thus far, but one told me that we've just accomplished just over half of the scheduled sorties for the first 24 hours, and the number of sorties that have been scheduled are in the high hundreds reported. So obviously this next 10.5 hours, these next 10.5 hours are crucial, and that we shouldn't be breathing a sigh of relief. Another mentioned to me the possibility of Saddam Hussein possibly conserving some of his air defenses, not turning on some of his radar systems, not operating his entire air defense arsenal, knowing that he's going to take some heavy blows the first day. So in fact, he may have some that he hasn't used as yet.
All right, Katie, and I don't think probably we can say that often enough. We should not be premature. The early stage of this has gone very well indeed, but it is just that. It is the opening stage of what figures to be, unfortunately, something much more complicated and drawn out.
Absolutely.
All right, Katie Couric, thanks very much. What do you think Willard's doing?
Probably standing outside looking at the sky.
Standing outside looking at the sky?
Yep,
you got it.
I was right.
Bit breezy down here, but otherwise it's lovely. Sunny skies in the nation's capital this morning. It is a very, very pretty morning. And temperature's probably about 42, 43 degrees, but the wind is blowing a bit, so there's a wind chill factor. A lot of fog in the Mississippi Valley this morning. If you're flying to Kansas City, if you're flying to Indianapolis, if you're flying to Buffalo, New York, you might expect some delays. Also, Dallas-Fort Worth rain this afternoon, later on this afternoon, but that could be at the rush hour, so just consider yourself forewarned. How about, do we have the Saudi map? We'll show you a little Saudi weather if you'd like to see it. This is a satellite map. Again, I caution you, this is a couple hours old, but it does show some cloud cover over Egypt, and it is moving into Saudi Arabia as it will. Maybe this afternoon, later on, some cloudy skies in the eastern province and up towards Kuwait, and maybe even a shower or two late this evening. Otherwise, temperatures high about 70, the low 39 in the morning, but it does warm up very fast out there in that desert. Some snow in the mountains of New Mexico, and also some snow in West Texas, and rain throughout most of central and southern Texas today. A few snowflakes on the eastern Great Lakes, and the rest of the country is in pretty good shape. In the middle of the country are some very nice, mild January thaw type, 42-ish type temperatures. Here's what's happening in your world even as we speak.
Mostly cloudy skies will linger through the morning hours. Look for partly sunny skies this afternoon, though. A high of 48 degrees.
That's all for right now. I may be forced to wear an overcoat on the next one. I like to be macho when I can, but I got sense enough to know when it's cold. Here's Deborah.
It's not worth getting the flu, Willard. Thank you. The U.S. military strike against Iraq has focused all of the world's attention once again on the Middle East. A couple of men who are helping to shape the policy that this country will pursue are with us in Washington. Democratic Senator John Glenn of Ohio and Republican Senator John Warner of Virginia. Both are members of the Armed Services Committee. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, let's talk about the military offensive that continues right now. Planes are taking off about every 5 minutes, as we just heard from Saudi Arabia. Any concern that, as Katie Couric suggested, indeed Iraq may not have switched on all of their systems and we may not have been as successful at knocking them out as we suspect at the moment we were?
Well, I think we should err on the side of caution. Our first thought this morning is to go out to the families who are here in the United States really glued to the sets right now. Let's extend a hand to them and err on the side of caution. But the interesting thing is America's heavy investment in the all-volunteer force produced one of the finest military groups in the history of this country, together with the best equipment, and it paid off in saving lives. Also, last night our president said that this operation would be conducted without one hand of the military behind their back. And I'm of the opinion that the president, although he's exercised civilian command and control with the Secretary of Defense, has given the largest measure of discretion to our military commanders since World War II, and that's paid off.
Senator Glenn, we may be fighting this with no hands tied behind our back, but the Iraqis may not be showing all their cards either.
They may not, but on the other hand, Deborah, don't forget we've been involved in a big jamming operation the last few days, and one of the areas where I know we're so superior that there isn't even any comparison is in the area of electronics and electronic countermeasures. I was surprised last night with the attack going on, for instance. Now, he has some Hawk missiles, very sophisticated. We gave them to him when they were up against Iran in that particular war, and that's a devastating weapon. Now, whether we have a means now that we can negate that, or we turn off the radar, we turn off all sorts of things, or jam it, there's a big sub-war going on here in that electronics countermeasure field that obviously is being very effective. Now,
The people are flying up over there, those guys in the cockpits going in. You can bet they're glad that they don't have Hawk missiles and things like that coming up after them right now.
Well, they've also got a good handful of Stinger missiles that we sold them during the Iran-Iraq War. Secretary Lehman was here just a few minutes ago, and he said, you don't know until that next group goes in whether or not you effectively took them out. We are still at risk.
Well, the Stingers are for low-level attack. If we were going in on low-level attack, Stinger has a range of max about 3 miles to it, and so it can be shoulder-fired, of course. And if they do low-level attacks, low-level run-ins, well, then the Stinger might be somewhat effective. But at least so far, our countermeasures, or being able to conduct a war without being interfered with, have been absolutely amazing. I think no one would have predicted that we'd be down to just a couple of airplanes down after all this massive attack.
No one would have predicted that, and maybe you won't want to make a prediction. I'm going to ask you to. What next? What happens next in the Middle East?
Well, go ahead, John.
Well, I think that we should focus our attention on the ground forces. Hopefully, we will not have to have major involvement of ground units. But the very fact that they're there and ready is an enormous deterrent against Saddam Hussein to prevent him from unleashing some suicide attack here in the 11th hour.
Do you think
what I think would continue, Deborah, is I think we would go ahead with the air attacks the way they are now until we get all our anti-aircraft down, get all the surface-to-air missiles knocked down. Then we can range with impunity throughout that area. And no one, even though I flew in a couple of wars, I'm not one that thinks it will automatically bring this to end by with air, but air can certainly make it as easy then as possible when finally ground troops may have to move in if he doesn't give up, and that's the main thing, is to do that so we cut down that loss of life. We got to be concerned.
Deborah, we may be at that juncture now that diplomacy can once again step in and avoid any further loss of life on either side. I'm hopeful that our president will be meeting with the Secretary of Defense later today, and others will now look at this option as early as possible.
Well, thus far, Saddam Hussein is continuing to show no sign that he's interested in any kind of diplomatic overture. He's still calling the U.S. to withdrawal, and so far seems not at all inclined to entertain diplomatic entrees.
And we have to assume he's going to continue to do that, too, I think. Arab leadership in the past in combat has done exactly that.
Senator Glenn and Senator Warner, thanks to both of you for being with us. And we'll be back in just a moment, 20 minutes before the hour, back after this.
The animals in the forest. If they could talk, what would they say? They might say, be careful with fire in the forest. Just like Smokey says, only you can prevent forest fires.
Of all the investments you can make, there's one that will reward you for a lifetime. It's the investment you make in your child. With every hour you spend together, as reading, playing, talking, your child will gain self-esteem, confidence, assets that bring lifetime rewards. The more interest you show now, the more it'll pay off later. So give your kids what they need most. You.
More important than material things. You don't need all the gold and the diamond rings. Yeah, you make a lot of money and you make it fast. You get busted, you're going straight to a jail cell. Man, it's going on. Police are getting serious. I don't mean to diss, but you gotta get out of this. Straight up, man, it's a known fact. It ain't enough money that can get your life back. Straight up, freeze. Straight up, freeze. Straight up, freeze. Straight up, police. Yo, little brother, what's up with these drugs? You wanna make a lot of money and be a thug? You want these fancy cars to flaunt your money? But then you go to jail like all the other drugs. Straight up, it ain't cool. You know it ain't safe. So you got a 9mm in your face. It's a game you can't win, so don't try to play. Let's spread the word from New York to LA. We're here to tell you that drugs are for suckers. Straight up, police. Straight up, freeze. Straight up, police.
Though we have spent most of our morning talking about war, we'd like to welcome back negotiations specialist Roger Fisher. He's at our Boston Bureau this morning. Roger, good morning.
Good morning, Brian.
Does war represent the failure of folks in your business?
So far, yes, indeed. It's a tragic failure. It represents that we've spent 99% of our effort on military preparation and training and less than 1% on negotiation.
I was kind of surprised to hear Senator Warner just a moment ago say, quote, diplomacy can once again step in. You think that's possible?
Well, the military is planning on a diplomatic solution. They are planning not to conquer Iraq acre by acre, but to have some terms. And we have not yet, as in World War II against Japan, it took 3 years to decide what unconditional surrender meant. In Vietnam, we never decided what the terms were. And now again, our soldiers are fighting with no military arm tied behind their back, but their political arm is tied behind their back. Today, before Saddam Hussein could buy a deal, he wanted to know what the deal is. Does it mean, as the Prime Minister of Britain suggested, unconditional surrender? Or does it mean, as President Bush has suggested, just getting out of Kuwait? If he says, I'm willing to get out of Kuwait, what's the deal? Will he be hung as a war criminal? Are we going to demand that he personally surrender?
Well, Caspar
we
Weinberger,
have not yet focused on that.
Caspar Weinberger was on a little bit earlier, and his sounded kind of unconditional. He said he's got to get out of Kuwait, he's got to pay reparations, and he's got to put down his army.
Sure, but there's no UN. The UN has authorized force to get him out of Kuwait. And the U.S. has not negotiated with our allies as to what it takes to say, yeah, if he says yes, what are the terms? Is he going to get hung? War criminals? All his future oil income for reparations, as the Kaiser did, and get something further in there? Diplomacy needs to start working this morning on the terms of a ceasefire.
Well, let me give you a blank slate. How do you think we should define victory?
I would define terms in this way. I would say if he announces he'll get out, formal declaration, I would suspend the use of force until he gets out. When he gets out, I would say, okay, sanctions are off as far as food going in, civilian supplies, and we will negotiate the rest with our troops there, arms control. We will not try and starve you into further terms.
What about his army?
His army will negotiate about that against our army. If you're going to negotiate while the war is going on, you're going to kill a lot of Iraqis and many Americans as you haggle over the terms. Unconditional surrender, then you get there and say, well, after all, we'll let you do this. They are dying because the other side, they may be dying because the other side does not know what terms we're going to insist upon. We have Caspar Weinberger saying, I'd like reparations. Someone saying, I just want to get him out of Kuwait. And we are not using our political talents. We're much better at the Air Force. We can jam communications and block them. We can't get them started.
But, Roger, I mean, again, and I suggested this to you the other day, I mean, it does take two to go to the dance. And, I mean, at some point, you have to see some flexibility, yes?
Have you seen any flexibility on the American side? The president says no negotiation, no face saving, and we'll not talk. No, on the other side, you have to get someone to say, if he announces, I'm willing to get flexibility, will he get anything? I'm afraid we'll say, he's losing, hit him harder. We have to look at his choice as it looks to him. That's just being smart.
Roger Fisher, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
It's 8:47. This is Today on NBC.
Quality is amazing. It sounds so great.
No scratches at all.
That's when music was music.
It's got everything.
Ramblin' Man.
Benny and the Jets.
All on CDs.
Introducing Entertainment Weekly's Rock Archive CD Collection. It's free with a paid subscription to Entertainment Weekly.
Everybody's doing a brand dance now.
These drum licks are just thundering in here.
This exclusive Rock Archive collection has 30 of the most listened to hits from the 60s to today, remastered and compiled for the first time on 2 beautifully produced CDs or 3 audio cassettes. And the Rock Archives will sound even better when you hear that it's free.
What?
Do I have to pay taxes on it?
It's free when you subscribe to the magazine everyone's talking about, Entertainment Weekly, at a savings of almost 50% off the cover price.
Entertainment Weekly is the postmodern farmer's almanac.
It's a great magazine.
Entertainment Weekly is like a quick fix on what's out there.
It's concise, it keeps me current.
I love the pictures. They kind of the behind-the-scenes look.
It cut to the chase. I want to talk about music and movies.
I like it because I don't have to be hip.
Entertainment Weekly's more than great reviews. It gives you the inside scoop and a behind-the-scenes look at movies, television, videos, books, and more. Call right now and get 18 issues for 3 monthly installments of only $5.99 each, or use your credit card today.
Do you think that's really how people walk in Egypt?
Call right now, and you'll also get Entertainment Weekly's Rock Archives, 30 classic rock hits on 2 CDs or 3 audio cassettes, and it's free.
Things like this don't happen to me. It's stupendous. It's outrageous.
Totally awesome.
It's inexplicable. How could you beat that?
Wishing I was Rod Stewart waking up with Maggie May.
So call and subscribe today. You'll save almost 50% on Entertainment Weekly, and you'll also get the Rock Archive set free.
As we sit here in America and tell you about the events going on in the Persian Gulf, we have to tell you that missiles have just now begun falling once again on the city of Baghdad. As we consider that, let's consider some of the things that President Bush said last night. He's said to have gone through 4 different drafts of the speech that he delivered before the nation last night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 different versions before he came up with the final one. During his speech, he quoted a number of Americans, including one man who was leading Marines in Operation Desert Storm.
Listen to one of our great officers out there, Marine Lieutenant General Walter Boomer. He said, there are things worth fighting for. A world in which brutality and lawlessness are allowed to go unchecked isn't the kind of world we're going to want to live in.
While Lieutenant General Walter Boomer is in Saudi Arabia leading his troops, his wife Sandra is at home manning the fires at Camp Pendleton out in California. Good morning, Miss Boomer.
Good morning, Deborah.
Did you know the president was going to be quoting your husband on TV last night?
No, I didn't. I was very surprised by it.
What was your reaction when you first heard his name? Did you even hear what the president said after that?
Oh, yes, I was listening. I was very proud of him and all the Marines.
Was this a conversation that you and your husband had had before, or was this a sentiment that he expressed in a letter to the president that came as a surprise to you?
Well, things happened very fast after we got to Camp Pendleton. We were only here 10 days before he left for Saudi, so we didn't have a lot of time to talk about it.
You had time since then? Any phone calls or letters back and forth to
many
talk
phone
about
calls,
it?
Yes, many phone calls and many letters.
And what has he said about the whole notion that if we don't get Saddam now, at some point in the future, he'll cause even greater problems? Have y'all talked about that?
No, we haven't talked about that.
What has he said about the mission of Desert Shield, now Desert Storm, to you, and how he feels about it?
Well, it's serious. We were all hoping that it could be settled diplomatically, and it wasn't. My feeling is, and I'm sure the people here at Camp Pendleton, that we've gone in and we have a job to do. Let's get it done. The sooner it's done, the sooner it will be over with.
What is your husband's involvement today, as best you can guess, since I know that's all you can do this morning? Has he seen any action yet?
I don't know that, and I'm not at liberty to say that.
Well, I know that, but you must have some pretty nervous moments over the last 12, 14 hours.
I am very nervous, as well as all the wives here at Camp Pendleton.
Yeah. What do you do to get through the tough moments and keep from losing your grip, as I'm sure maybe there are moments when you think, ooh, I don't know how I'm going to get through this?
Well, we have a lot of support networks here. Key Wives groups, Family Service Center, wives clubs. You build very close relationships during this time, and you rely on those. So it's your friends that get you through.
And you've gotten through this before. Your husband did 2 tours through Vietnam. He's a career military man, and you're a career military wife. I guess this goes with the territory, no?
Right, it does. You have to take the good with the bad.
How do you feel this is right now? Is this a good or a bad moment? Knowing that the inevitable, I suppose, has finally happened, is it a relief or was it more of a shock?
It's a relief in many ways.
Yeah.
We've all been very tense through the past 5 months, and it's a relief that it has gotten started.
Yeah, and now that you've heard the initial reports, which are a lot more encouraging than I guess any of us would have imagined beforehand, do you have hope this is going to be a relatively fast operation and your husband will be back home?
I hope so. I hope that it's over as quickly as possible and that all our Marines and all our service personnel are home safely.
Well, Sandra Boomer, it is a hope that all of us in this country share, and we appreciate you being with us this morning. When you talk to your husband, give him our best, will you?
Thank you.
All right. And we'll be back in just a few minutes right after these messages. This is Today on NBC.
Once a year, there's a coat sale so big it breaks records. Right now, Burlington Coat Factory has slashed its already low prices on over 2 million coats during its once-a-year warehouse sale. It's America's greatest coat sale with tremendous savings on top-name coats for women, men, and children, plus sportswear, kids' clothes, and menswear at the lowest prices of the season now. Don't wait. At these prices, they won't hang around long. Save now on coats and so much more during Burlington's once-a-year warehouse sale.
Starving Artist Group Art Expo and Sale. Thousands of beautiful original oil paintings on canvas by talented professional artists. Giant sofa-sized paintings sold elsewhere for hundreds of dollars as low as $25. Smaller paintings from $7. Absolutely positively no painting over $49. Professional artist quality at rock-bottom starving artist prices. This Sunday only in Nashville at the Marriott Hotel, I-40 at Briley Parkway, and in Murfreesboro at the Holiday Inn. This Sunday only 11 to 4. Absolutely positively no painting over $49.
Moms have to get up early to make their rounds.
How's my patient?
They know the way to doctor their family's coughs is with Robitussin.
Spoon.
Because more doctors and pharmacists recommend Robitussin than any other cough medicine.
Spoon. Not you, too. Spoon. I think he's coming down with a math test.
Robitussin, recommended by more doctors, pharmacists, and Dr. Mom. And for nighttime relief of colds with coughs, use Robitussin Night Relief.
Watch the excitement of SEC basketball Saturday when Mississippi State meets the Florida Gators. SEC basketball sponsored in part by Toyota. Saturday at 11:30 on Channel 4.
Something Extra is on the scene at 10 on Channel 4. The scene at 10 Extra Team. Nightside with reporters Stephen Lynn and Vanessa Eccles. World Wheel, news from around the globe. Helping Hand with Laura Brooks for consumers in need. Backroads, Terry Bolger's People Stories. Only on the scene at 10 on Channel 4. Something Extra.
As we near 9 o'clock Eastern Time, NBC senior commentator John Chancellor has joined us with some thoughts on Operation Desert Storm. John, you and I were talking in the halls about the lack of a great response from Iraq, mounting much of a defense. What do you make of it?
Well, I think it's a very dramatic moment because we don't know if Saddam Hussein is alive or dead. My own feeling is he's 10 feet, 10 stories under the ground in a bunker somewhere. But the lethality of our weapons, never having been tried before, some of these, great, huge ordnance, may have killed him by now, and we may be hearing recorded announcements from him.
Do you think that's correct? Because Iraqi television apparently broadcast some pictures of him seen in a very grim, stern manner.
I mean, you can do anything.
You control a TV station, that's possible.
That's their TV station.
If he's not dead.
Well, if he's not dead, then I think that you get into his character, which is really interesting. I think the Hitler analogy is wrong for him. I've been working on Al Capone as a possible analogy because what he does, and although I don't think that's good enough either, but what he does is he wants to beat the rap. And he doesn't care about the other members of the gang. And he wants to go on being a very important person in the Muslim world. And as far as I'm concerned, those are noble goals which he has ignobly tried to carry out. I mean, if he wants to, ambition is okay, but this man is a thug and a gangster.
He's also carrying them out poorly, we might add, and I don't mean to be flip about this, but as Casey used to say, you could look it up. The man's favorite film is Godfather. He supposedly watches it over and over and admires Don Vito Corleone because he came up from nothing and took everybody over and wiped out his enemies.
Sure, and George Bush's favorite film is Delta Force.
That's a little frightening.
Well, maybe that's what we got going
maybe
here.
we shouldn't let anybody go to the movies in an important job. But I think that Saddam is holding back, at least this is one theory of mine, so that the world will see pictures of civilian casualties and that the world will demand a ceasefire. Stop killing those babies.
Do you really think he's come to believe his own press, John? I mean, I
don't think so.
Because he manipulates it so carefully?
Well, yeah, but if you read it, it's very difficult to believe anyway. But I think what he would like to do, he doesn't want to give in to George Bush.
He doesn't want to give in to the Secretary General of the United Nations. He feels he's been humiliated by them. But if the world says, stop the carnage, and the United States is pressured by world opinion into a bombing halt or some kind of a ceasefire, then he can say, I never asked Bush.
On to the bigger question. We've only got about a minute left, though, and you and I talked about this the other night and expressed some concern in that we have given an awful lot of thought, as is obvious by the early success, to waging war, and we probably haven't given much thought to what happens in the back end.
Well, I think Roger Fisher had a very good point that we're not offering, we seem not to have worked out any terms for, are we going to occupy with an occupying army? The Americans can't do it. Will there be an international force? All of these things are unspoken by our government, and it's possible that our government, A, hasn't thought about them, but B, maybe doesn't want them in the public dialogue now, because they're uncomfortable questions that take us years ahead.
How do you suspect the public is going to react to all of this today? The pollsters, no doubt, will be out there making their
Great
surveys.
support, and quite justified. I thought the military people were terrific.
John Chancellor, always a pleasure. That is going to wrap up this hour. Some of our stations will be breaking away, some will be coming back. Either way, stay tuned.
Channel 4's closed captioning is made possible in part by Temptation Antique Galleries and ITEL Incorporated, Intelligent Telephones.
It is estimated that over 20 million people will battle nighttime colds this year. It's time for maximum strength. Countless hours of rest will be lost, lives disrupted. It's time for maximum strength. Benadryl Plus Nighttime Cold Formula. Because even NyQuil doesn't give you all maximum strength ingredients. Relieve your congestion, aches, fever, and sneezing. Get Benadryl Plus Nighttime. Get maximum strength ingredients for the nighttime cold war.
Decorate for less and save an additional 20% on all Yellow Tag fabric in stock during Calico Corner's Yellow Tag sale going on now.
American hearts weigh heavy with concern for our troops in the Middle East. We at Channel 4 understand the concerns you and your family might have due to the military action in the Gulf. As a result, Crisis Call will be available 24 hours a day to help provide emotional support and